Well, good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, September 2nd, and this is Queer News Tonight, the world's first live LGBTQ daily evening news. It is time to queer up the news.
Watch as we bring you these and other stories from the LGBTQ headlines. Richard Grenell, Trump's top gay appointee, joins anti-LGBTQ group, and Chasten Buttigieg releases memoir and opens up about his life.
Nancy Pelosi to be honored with award at virtual PFLAG national event, and Polish bishops want to force queer people into conversion therapy camps to regain their natural sexual orientation.
Tonight, Wednesday at 8 p.m. on It's Happening Out, we discuss the fallout of the Falwell scandal and how it impacts Liberty University. Then tomorrow night, Thursday at 8 p.m. on Gay Town Hall, the most diverse cast in America of LGBTQ members in history discuss if the letters in the queer alphabet are fractured. Good evening, America. It is 7 p.m. Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020, and it is time to queer up the news. We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. So many of your stories we are going to tell this evening on Queer News Tonight. Tonight on the world's first live daily queer evening news show.
Tonight's news about the gay community and the news from an LGBTQ perspective. Are our gay stories important to you? In headlines, politics, entertainment, gay culture, travel, religion, and more. Reported by respected anchors.
Out of the closet and into the headlines on Q News Tonight. Well, thank you for joining Queer News Tonight. We are live. This is an unedited evening news show, unedited, so anything can happen. This evening, we bring you the news of and a perspective from the LGBTQ community. I'm your anchor, Al Ferguson, and these are my co-anchors, David Hopkins and Misty Eyes. Let's queer up the news. Tonight we begin with the queer headlines. The LGBTQ community in America is certainly diverse. The LGBTQ community around the world is vast, and we bring you the bullet points of queer news for today, Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. We begin with Queering Up Vote 2020 by reporting LGBTQ America fear Trump will reject an election defeat. Watch this.
Kaylee, just a follow-up on what my colleague said over there with regard to the president saying make sure to get out and vote because the only way we're going to lose this election is if the election is rigged. Is the president saying if he doesn't win this election that he will not accept the results unless he wins?
The president has always said he'll see what happens and make a determination in the aftermath. It's the same thing he said last November.
A new opinion research poll has come out with a stunning result. 3 in 4 supporters of Democratic challenger Joe Biden are worried about the prospect of Donald Trump rejecting the U.S. presidential election result if it goes against him. The survey underlined fears that the president will not accept the outcome of the November's race, which would trigger a constitutional crisis. Trump, for his part, has seemingly done everything possible to stoke this fear, saying often that if he loses, it is only because it is rigged and attacking vote in mailing at every opportunity. 60% of Trump voters are worried that the election is being rigged, according to the poll, whereas 53% of Biden voters share the same fear. America, this is what our proud democracy has been reduced to in just 4 short years.
My biggest fear in this is he is going to refuse to, and he's going to take his paramilitary friends, those fine people who are shooting up protesters, and try and turn them into a private military to stage a coup.
I don't think he's going to throw a fit. I know he's going to throw a fit. I only pray that there is a reason for him to throw a fit. But honestly, I too have been scared that this election might be rigged.
We reported last night on Q that Michael Bloomberg's think tank has done surveys to already demonstrate that on election night, November 3rd, Trump is going to win the first announcement of the polling of votes in the election. And that is because so many more people are going to be voting, but they're mostly Democratic voters. Overwhelmingly, they're going to be Biden votes. And as a result, this is going to set the groundwork for the objection that the president is going to set. So the fear is likely very real.
Next we queer up gay culture. Gay people are being called out for weaponizing homophobic slurs. Watch this.
Just a lot of pain, like sadness.
Non-threatening. Most people that I've encountered who say it are not very smart or very cultured, so, you know, they can say it all they want, but I'm just gonna continue doing my own thing, you know, I don't really care about what they say.
Punch you in the face. Is that one word?
Indifferent.
Rude. Disrespectful. People who call other people faggots. You're indecent. You need to learn to grow up.
For my lifetime, many have thought it an acceptable fact that gay people are allowed to say faggot because we're gay. There's now pushback against this mindset after a board member of Livable California, the statewide anti-density organization, used the slur against Esteban Garcia, a contributor for The Advocate who lives in San Francisco. In a tweet, he said, quote, "I don't get paid by Livable California, Mr. Anonymous. I fucking wish I did, though. Maybe Abundant Housing can hire me like they did the other brown and black faggots to push for new housing on vacant parcels of land or strip malls once y'all get the fuck out of my community's homes." When the board member, Isaiah Madison, was called out publicly for this, he expressed shock that anyone thought this amounted to hate speech.
What do you mean? How could you be shocked that this amounted to hate speech? It's pure slaughter. Straight across the board. And I can see both sides of this coin. I do think that marginalized communities can reclaim the pain if they use these words, but I think the N word should not be used by black people, the T word should not be used by trans people, and the F word should not be used by gay people, because no matter who says it, it causes harm.
You know, I draw attention tomorrow night at 8 p.m. Thursday. Gay Town Hall will have 12 hosts from all over America. And this is the #1 topic that they're going to discuss tomorrow, which is the letters in the LGBTQ spectrum are fractured. And it talks about this issue, how gay men treat lesbians, how lesbians treat gay men, and the secret philosophy of whether trans is even being supported in our community. I encourage you to tune in, because the conversation is likely going to be amazing.
And I actually used this word last night on our broadcast when discussing the Brandon Straka protest. He was upset that people had called him a faggot. I, in anger, said that, well, maybe you were behaving one. These people are losing their lives, and you're telling them they're wrong for being upset by that. I wasn't rightful in using that word, but I used it in anger and didn't really think about it when I said it.
Next week, we're up entertainment. Chaz Bono speaks out about J.K. Rowling's transphobia for the first time. Watch this.
J.K. Rowling, to start with, what's your take on that?
For me personally, it's been really difficult because I happen to be a Harry Potter fanatic, I would say. I've got a tattoo on my leg of 3 of the houses. Yeah. So it was kind of like when the person who writes, you know, your favorite series of books about oppressed people decides to start oppressing you. It's very strange. It doesn't make any sense. It's like hard to wrap your head around.
Chaz Bono, the son of Cher, the icon, and trailblazing transgender actor in his own right, recently sat down for an interview to discuss rising transphobia in the United Kingdom. Bono is a self-professed Harry Potter fan. Even having a tattoo on his leg, spoke about the hurt that came from the author of his favorite series of books about oppressed people beginning to oppress him. It's hard to wrap your head around. On a personal note, it just sucked, he said. Politically, it's dangerous because I don't think people realize that she's just regurgitating the same things that people are saying about us that have been debunked for 30 years. Rowling, perhaps unknowingly, lit a flame in white privileged feminists by invoking old anti-trans language, commonly used by trans exclusionary radical feminists, also known as TERFs for short.
Next, we queer up entertainment. Tom of Finland's archives featured in iconic artist's first official biography. Artist Tuukko Laaksonen, aka Tom of Finland, rose to fame as one of the most significant erotic artists of the last century, with thousands of illustrations during his 40-year career. He died in 1991. Almost 30 years later, an official biography of the artist is finally being released, titled Tom of Finland. The official life and work of a gay hero. Today, Tom of Finland has evolved beyond postcards and pictures in a thriving brand. His art is available on everything from skateboards and sex toys to cologne and coffee, and even high-end fashion. The archives featured in the biography offer a chance to see never-before-seen materials and continue his legacy as a gay trailblazer, even decades after his passing.
Next, we queer up entertainment. All-Stars winner Alaska, part of the star-studded lineup for this week's Friends of Dorothy podcast. Candy Warhol and Kiki St. Clair are just 1 month into their bi-weekly podcast, Friends of Dorothy, and they've already served an abundance of amazing interviews with some huge names. This Friday sees another star-studded episode featuring drag royalty, Alaska. They talk about everything from the Golden Girls and Lady Gaga to Alaska's early introduction to drag and musical partnership with her best friend Jeremy. They also chat Race Chaser, her time on Drag Race, her views on allyship, and how we can all be better to each other. It's a can't miss interview.
Yes. Next we queer up Vote 2020. Chasten Buttigieg releases memoir and opens up about his life. Throughout the campaign, the country got to know Chasten Buttigieg in his equally historic role, and now they can learn more about the surprising moments that defined him in his new memoir, out now, I Have Something to Tell You. Some topics discussed in this book include his bouts of depression, his husband's presidential campaign, and coming out to his conservative parents.
Next, we queer up the USA in reporting Trump's press secretary says denying gay couples' daughters citizenship has nothing to do with sexual orientation. The White House press secretary said that the Trump administration's arguments against recognizing the girl's citizenship, and by extension its decision to appeal a similar decision in a case involving a same-sex couple from Maryland, quote, pertains to surrogacy and had nothing to do with the sexual orientation of the parents. She did not elaborate on what the Trump administration finds objectionable about children of U.S. citizens who are conceived abroad using surrogacy.
Next, we queer up religion. Head teacher expels gay straight A student because it's what, quote, Jesus would want. Devin Bryant, who his mother says is a kind and disciplined student, has attended the Covenant Christian School in Texas since pre-kindergarten, and his older sister attended the school almost 20 years ago. But after the 17-year-old senior came out as gay, head teacher Tony Jeffrey said there would no longer be a place for him at the school.
Next we queer up the USA. Nancy Pelosi to be honored with award at virtual PFLAG national event. PFLAG National is virtually hosting their annual Moving Equality Forward event tonight, where they will honor the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, with the 2020 PFLAG National Champion of Justice Award. The award recognizes an elected official who champions fairness, equality, and justice for all people in the country and around the world. Past honorees include the late Representative John Lewis, Senator Tammy Baldwin, former Representative Barney Frank, and Colorado Governor Jared Polis.
Next, let's queer up Vote 2020 in reporting that straight, cisgendered women are twice as likely to vote for Trump as LGBTQ women. Released by the political action group LPAC on Monday, polling finds that 60% of LGBTQ women expressed support for the Democratic ticket in November, as opposed to 44% of their heterosexual cis counterparts. When it comes to voting, 30% of non-LGBTQ women are backing Trump, while only 15% of the queer women support him.
Next, we queer up the USA. Richard Grenell, Trump's top gay appointee, joins anti-LGBTQ group. Richard Grenell has joined a law firm founded by Pat Robertson that has a history of opposing LGBTQ rights. Grenell will be Special Advisor for National Security and Foreign Policy at the American Center for Law and Justice, based in Washington, D.C. In the announcement of the appointment, no mention of Grenell being gay was mentioned.
Next, we queer up religion. Polish bishops want to force queer people into conversion therapy camps to regain their natural sexual orientation. Following the 3-day Polish Episcopal Conference, bishops in Poland produced a 27-page document outlining their stance on LGBTQ issues, which included mentions of conversion therapy being useful despite not being backed up by scientific evidence. The document from the bishops is the latest in a long list of attacks against Poland's LGBTQ community by its government and Catholic Church.
Next, let's catch up on all the news surrounding COVID-19 with our segment called Quarantine Quickies. The first story tonight is our daily reporting of the coronavirus facts, especially important to the LGBTQ community. First, we report on coronavirus case numbers. Based on standard acceptance of 7% of LGBT community, the world's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases stand at 1,820,471, while America's LGBTQ COVID-19 cases now stand at 438,672. We remind you that America is ground zero of this pandemic. The USA is just 4.4% of the world's population, and today America is 24% of the world's cases. Next, we report on coronavirus deaths. The world's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths now stand at a staggering 60,416, while America's LGBTQ COVID-19 deaths stand at 13,242. The USA is 21.9% of all of the world's deaths.
Quarantine Quickies. Trump selling CDC claimed only 6% of COVID-19 deaths are coronavirus. This is a conspiracy theory. Watch this.
And they lost tens of thousands of people. They lost more than any other country. They just don't report it. You know, we report everything. And by the way, I saw a statistic come out the other day talking about only 6% of the people actually died from COVID, which is a very interesting, that they died from
well, they had
reasons.
Comorbidities, which you've gotten criticized for, because there are comorbidities, as the Italian showed, for every COVID death. I think it was 70-something% had 2 or 3 comorbidities. But the COVID might ultimately have been the key morbidity to hit them, but bottom line.
But it's an interesting statistic.
The U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention did not backpedal on the number of deaths caused by COVID-19, reducing the figure from nearly 154,000 to just over 9,000, as social media posts claimed. Despite this fact, Donald Trump was among those who tweeted out the conspiracy theory, adding presidential legitimacy to something that has no basis, as having a pre-existing condition does not mean someone didn't die from COVID-19.
You know what this reminds me of? HIV and AIDS. 100% of the people that died from AIDS and HIV did not die from AIDS or HIV. It was pneumonia or something else. It was also comorbidity.
If you didn't see last night's Q's Q&A on coronavirus, Dr. Howard Grossman, the former president of the American HIV organization in the United States, Dr. Howard Grossman, for the first time last night said that the CDC leadership and the FDA's leadership had lost their credibility in the medical community's standing because they now lie for the president. This is one of those lies.
And it's a complete example of people who don't understand science and don't understand facts, just making up stuff as they go along.
Quarantine Quickies. Dr. Fauci warns governors, Labor Day weekend will show if America can get COVID-19 under control. Watch this.
On a call with governors, the nation's top infectious disease doctor warning of dire consequences if Labor Day weekend gatherings leads to an increase in infections.
Remember, following the 4th of July, following Memorial Day, when people understandably get out and congregate, we've had surges. The one thing you don't want is to play whack-a-mole as you go into the fall, where you've got everything down and then one comes up.
Top U.S. health officials are warning if the U.S. wants to control the coronavirus this fall, it needs to start with the upcoming Labor Day weekend. The U.S. has struggled to contain in a summer of COVID-19 outbreaks after a resurgence of cases ripped through the sun-belted states in June and July. Those cases originally began ticking up shortly after Memorial Day in May and continued to climb after the 4th of July holiday. If Labor Day is similar, it could lead to a disastrous fall and winter in America.
We are very proud to be airing from the gayest place on planet Earth. And if there is something we are known for here in South Florida, it is our bustling nightlife scene. Here are some of our favorite spots around Wilton Manors and Fort Lauderdale, Florida, in a brief photo essay that we bring you tonight. We've prepared this. Watch.
Q News Tonight presents top 9 nightlife spots in Wilton Manors. The best bars, clubs, and lounges in the gayest place on planet Earth. Georgie's Alibi. Say cheese. Your alibi is airtight. Drink. Best patio by far. And the martinis aren't bad. Ramrod. Weekend crowds are always in the mood to cruise. The Pub. If camp at an address. The Eagle. Classic leather bar with underground, Berlin-inspired setting. Hunters. Cocktails, pool, and karaoke. Oh my. La Boy. Where less is more. Gym Sports Bar. Pub grub, happy hour, and sports. What more can you want? Infinity Lounge. For the bourgeoisie, a casually sophisticated cocktail lounge. Presented by Q News Tonight.
Happening Out Television Network is broadcasting on our brand new set in partnership with the Sunshine Cathedral. This is the world's largest queer church in Fort Lauderdale and Wilton Manors, Florida. And we joke, as we told you before on our bars and nightlife, the gayest place on planet Earth. Our support of their Sunday celebration is the largest LGBTQ religious broadcast in the world, every Sunday at 10:30 a.m. Eastern. We encourage you to tune in. Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church. Watch this.
Piano teacher, and I also work at South Florida Gay News in the advertising department, and Sunshine Cathedral is my queer church.
We'd like to thank our set designer, Concepto Modern Living, here in Fort Lauderdale for making this set in this amazing queer church campus possible. Well, we end tonight's broadcast with The Big Finish. These are short story mentions of LGBTQ news or news with a gay perspective. So here we go, first on Queer News Tonight's The Big Finish. Trump in Kenosha says protesters are throwing cans of soup.
Yeah, I guess they can use the paper towels he threw at hurricane victims to clean the soup up. I don't know.
Stay tuned. Next up on Twitter, Trump released a new tweet, the new law that says we can't even sell soup at all. No soup for you.
He is a soup Nazi.
Sometimes I think Trump puts a series of words into a scrambler and says whatever the result is, regardless if it makes sense or even contains any real words at all.
Covfefe.
Trumpsters, seriously, you have a right to support Donald Trump. Yeah. I support that. I fight for that. But his interview with Fox's Laura Ingraham last night made him the most stupid and ignorant president in the history of this American republic. F-U-L-L, full stop. The big finish. Trump claims he won 2016's popular vote. I guess we're bashing Trump tonight in a true sense.
I mean, who gave this man a Sharpie again? Look at that.
Okay, so true sense. I don't understand. What is he talking about? Popular vote refers to the number of people that voted. He might have won the electoral vote, but he definitely did not win the popular vote in any sense. Common sense, past sense, perfect sense, and Lord, I pray not the future sense.
Well, you know, that's a good challenge. Let me see if I can unpack this. The word true is really doing a lot of work in that sentence.
Yeah.
It's also a word that will not be linked to Donald Trump's 2021 Wikipedia account or any history books. The big finish. Dolly Parton-inspired rooftop bar opens at a Nashville hotel.
I wouldn't be caught working 9 to 5 in this place. It looks like their design team is really having a hard candy Christmas. Dolly Parton says she spent a lot of money to look so cheap, and it looks like this place.
David was in COVID for so long, he's got to get this singing out of him.
Yeah, a month of lockup, but don't worry, Dolly, because I will always love you. Yes.
I also love Dolly. She is a true icon in every sense of the word.
Well, it seems like it's unanimous because I love Dolly more than both of you combined.
I bet.
She is a fantastic ally
live longer
to our community. A nice age joke.
Napoleon. Someone's got to kid it.
Right. But this bar, it's also so tacky.
Yeah.
Which, by the way,
1970s.
as a gay man, is exactly why I love her. And she is so fantastic. The big finish. Trump told Sarah Sanders to take one for the team after Kim Jong-un's wink at her.
Yeah, nothing beats an old whore, except for pimp and Michelle Wolf's humor.
Wait. Hold on. I'm so confused. Someone read Sarah Sanders' memoir? And I'm also confused. How do you unwink or unwink at someone? That doesn't make any sense.
Unwink. Funny.
Unwink.
I got it. First, is it wrong that when I read this, I'm not buying the book. There's no way. No. I read it in the news. When I read it, I busted out laughing at the image in my head of Sarah and doing the nasty together. It's a delicious thought running through my head at this moment.
Yeah, I'd unwink at that too.
Second,
unwink.
I would argue that she had already taken one for the team. And that was every time she was forced to answer questions about Trump's so-called policies. Oh, Sarah, history will show you should have stayed with the crazy rich Asian. The big finish. Pelosi is caught in a photograph getting her hair done at a coronavirus-shuttered San Francisco salon.
You know, if the business wasn't open to the public, she was practicing risk reduction. And if you guys saw me on Gay Town Hall last week, you know how badly a haircut can matter.
Oh,
that is true. That is true.
I
can just hear her now. She's probably can hear like saying, "Wait, what do you mean you're closed? Hello, do you know who I am? I'm Nancy Pelosi."
Yeah, and you know what's funny? When I saw the picture, I remember the olden days when stuff like this really mattered. This would have been big news 10 years ago. before Trump was elected. Now it just seems that it isn't even enough to be a blip on my radar. I hope your blue haircut was well done, Nancy. And by the way, no one could have possibly stood up to the crazy of the last 2 years better than you.
Oh, that's true.
And that you were a strong woman doing it, unconditionally supporting the LGBT community, made it perfection. We love you, Nancy. The big finish. Throwback to Stalin era, Russia picks a new date, a brand new date, to mark the end of World War II in the Pacific.
Well, you know, history is written by the winners, and since Russia won the 2016 election here in the U.S., I guess they
That is so shady.
Yeah, and true.
Okay, so let me get this straight. 1492, Columbus sailed the ocean blue, and World War II ended on September 2nd. Oh, wait, no, 75 years later, the Russian parliament decided to rewrite history and change it to December 3rd.
December 3rd, yeah.
September 3rd,
yeah.
Same thing.
Oh, okay, same thing. September 3rd and December 3rd, same thing?
Soviet Russia.
Really? Okay. And apparently in Russia and at Queer News Tonight. Honestly, anytime it isn't something overtly and dangerously anti-LGBTQ coming out of Russia, I consider it a win.
True.
Pick whatever date you like, Vlad. Just stop poisoning your political opponents and crushing your nation's LGBTQ hopes and dreams.
That's true.
Please?
And that's today's news for the LGBTQ community on the world's first daily LGBTQ evening news show.
Remember, if it's important to the LGBTQ community, it's important to Queer News Tonight. But you must help us. Please click subscribe on YouTube and share this news.
We are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. This is the only source of live LGBTQ news in the world. Your community needs your support.
You are not alone. Like with Sanders.
Really, you were going to try to land a joke here at the end of the show, and
alone.
it bombed terribly,
I'm
right?
still all about unwinking.
He just stuttered. That's it.
We'll get through this crisis.
All right, let's try to help him out here.
How do you unwink?
Yeah,
that's true. We are here with you, and we together. I messed up too.
we
are Queer News Tonight.
We told you this is unedited.
We'll cut that out.
I'll wrap it up in a nice little bow.
Sure, go ahead, Al.
Thank you for joining us, America. I'm Al Ferguson, and on behalf of my mess-up cohorts, Misty Eyes and David Hopkins, we will see you daily and tomorrow night at 7 p.m.
Blushing.
Good night, America.
Can you hand me the